Hi everyone, this is Alan over at Cobblers Plus in Denver, and today on Soul Talk Sunday, we're going to be talking about the Dainite sole and the Vibram Eton sole. So come join us and check out what these soles are all about.
I'm Alan Tershkov. Join us today and enter our world of a cobbler to see the craftsmanship it takes to rebuild and restore footwear and other leather goods, as well as recommendations from our industry.
So today for Soul Talk Sunday, of course, this is kind of a new segment for us here. We're going to be talking about two rubber soles that are becoming more and more popular in the footwear industry, especially amongst men's dress shoes. So we'll probably start out with the one that a lot more people are familiar with when it comes to shoes like Allen Edmond and Alden, and that would be the Dainite sole. It's bit of a denser rubber that most people are familiar with. It's got the pegs there and everything, so it's very nice design overall. So quite a few people definitely like this one. Some people hate it, so there's a lot of hit and miss there. But the company that manufactures it, they're actually a large company that doesn't only manufacture soles, they also manufacture other types of rubber materials, tubing and pipes and things like that on a large industrial level. So they have certain access to types of rubbers and materials that are a little harder to come by with certain sole manufacturers out there. But that doesn't necessarily mean they have all the pluses that some soles out there have. There's always going to be your pluses and minuses, and that's why we're covering two of the soles here today. But continuing on with the Dainite sole, the Dainite, again, it's a denser rubber, so it's not actually molded using heat necessarily. They use pressure on it. So they have these pucks that they put into molds, and then the molds just press them out. So it gives it a little bit of a denser finish, basically, so it holds up nicely. And the other key thing is, maybe you might be able to see it there at an angle, but these little pegs here, they do stick out a bit. So for the first time when you're breaking them in, it might feel a little awkward if you've never had a pair of these before. But overall, it is a very good traction design, just the way that it's designed. This sole has been in design, well, it's been around for over 100 years, since 1910. But overall, the company's been working on soles since 1894, so quite some time. But this particular design pattern has been around for 110, almost 110 years now. When some of you may be watching this, it's been 110 years already. But overall, as far as the way it's designed, the sole, of course, is not extremely thick. It's not as thick as a lot of leather soles out there. So in accommodation to it, a lot of times companies put on what's called a midsole. Let me grab that real quick. Kind of like one of these here, just about 1/8 of a millimeter thick. Now the question is, for some people, is why the midsole? Why do I need it? There's a few things. With of course, a rubber like this, it's a lot more softer than leather. It doesn't have that ruggedness to it, so you need a little bit of stiffening in certain types of shoes or boots. And a midsole tends to use a little bit of a denser material, so adding that on will definitely help with the density of when you're walking and the toe bending and everything. The other thing is also on some boots, it gives it a little bit more heft. It looks a little bit nicer, just adding that little bit of 1/8 of an inch thickness there, just like that. So it's definitely, in some cases, kind of like a fashion thing for some. But setting that one aside there, as far as the compound on it, they don't exactly say what it is, but it is definitely a rubber. There isn't any kind of serious mixtures of crepe, like blown crepe or anything, or plastics or additives or anything. So it is a rubber, straightforward, like that. So even once these little pegs here wear down, it'll still grip a decent amount, not completely. I mean, I've got a pair of Allen Edmonds here that we're going to be resoling. You can tell that the pegs have worn out quite a bit there in certain areas, and It still grips a fair amount, definitely less than a lot of other soles out there. So this rubber is really mostly designed for the durability aspect of it, and then the tread pattern is designed for the traction aspect of it. The tread, again, it's also designed so that it has minimal dirt and mud that gets stuck to it. A lot of other soles out there that have a lot of traction and pattern to it, a lot of times you'll get mud stuck in their little rocks or something else, where with this one you'll get minimal to no mud or anything else stuck in it. Now, moving on to the Eaton sole. Sorry, I'll talk about the heels in a little bit, but we'll move on to the Vibram Eton sole. Now, as you can tell, at first glance they look very similar, but they're actually almost polar opposites, I guess you can say, between these two. With the thickness, they're the same, but the difference is the Vibram sole, its pegs here, the traction does not stick out nearly as much as the Dainite sole. And the other thing is, it's a much softer rubber. It is also a full rubber, but it's much softer. So if you're looking for a little extra cushion but you still want some durability, this may be the way for you to go instead of going with the Dainite route. The other thing is that the material, it does grip better. So say if you take off all of this pegs right here, all the traction completely, it will still grip very nicely on smooth surfaces such as tile, hardwood, anything like that that may get wet. It will grip much better than the Dainite would. So that's where I'm saying these are polar opposites. This one's softer and more flexible, but it's not quite as durable as, say, the Dainite, which is much harder and denser. And then they're both rubber, but two very different types of rubbers. This one relies on the particular tread pattern for traction, does very good in mud, slush, dirt, outdoor wear, basically when you're walking out on the street or anything. Or this one works a lot better if you're more indoors, you may be around wet floors a little more frequently. This one's going to grip a lot better. So again, kind of polar opposites, but change out the scenario. If you wear this one indoors on wet floor, it does have a tendency to slip a little bit more, definitely, where this one won't do too well in mud or slush or anything like that outside. So like I said, polar opposites. They may look similar, but very, very different. All right. As far as the way these soles here are made, again, I said these ones, they use a puck with pressure. These ones, they do melt down to a certain point. I don't know all the specs on that, of course. Companies will not disclose that, but Vibram has a tendency to make most of their soles by melting their rubber. Doesn't necessarily mean it's any worse or better. It's just a different technique. Different rubbers, they have different ways of being produced and manufactured into a product like these here. So just for anyone that was curious. Again, same rules apply. Midsole on these two, they're the same thickness. The only thing is with the Vibram sole, it's the same thickness all across the board, where the Dainite sole, it's the same thickness as the Eaton sole here at the ball of the foot. But once you get behind the ball of the foot right here, it tapers off and becomes much thinner, probably about 20-25% thinner. So that's a difference in the design, I guess you can say, with the thickness of those. Anyways, moving on to the heels, though. Now the heels, of course, Vibram has their own version here. Looks almost like a smiley face, I guess you can say, when you flip it the right way. Same materials, same everything. It is, of course, a bit thicker than what its sole is, and usually heels should be, of course, thicker. Same everything, basically. There's not much difference, so that's definitely a great one to have, even if you're not going to be getting the Vibram Eton sole. If you're just wanting to have your heels replaced, it's definitely a nice option to have. The Vibram heel, of course, it's a little bit of a thicker heel than most traditional heels that you find as original heels on factory shoes, but that's definitely a good thing, considering it is a softer rubber. And the other thing is also, it accommodates a wider range of types of shoes out there, different angles and pitches. So if you have a pair of Western boots, in some cases it might even fit certain ones if you got a wide enough heel base on it, because you don't want to have a very narrow heel and then you just have like a small section of this heel traction design there. That just doesn't work. Okay, but we'll set that one aside then. With the Dainite heels there, they are definitely significantly more thicker, as you can tell. So even just comparing it to the Vibram one, it's a lot more thicker than a lot of the other types of heels out there too. So when it comes to putting those onto shoes, we definitely have to adjust the heel base, or some of you also call it a heel block, so that it can accommodate a Dainite heel. Now with the Dainite heel, again, they're also the same compound as the sole, but significantly thicker. It also has these small little holes here to be able to run nails into that the Vibram heel did not. Most companies, regardless, also don't even really use these holes. They actually just adhere these on. I've probably only seen like a couple of companies. And some shoes also, you actually don't want to nail these on. You want to just have them adhered onto. Just depends on the material, the thickness of the heel base, their overall construction too. So sometimes we also just adhere them on, and sometimes we have to also nail them on with adhering. Just because we didn't nail it on doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to hold on tight. The adhesives that are used to hold it all together are very strong. This rubber sticks very well once it's sanded out, of course. It sticks very well. I mean, you have to take some pliers to really rip it off, or if you end up getting into a situation where somehow you manage to rip it off while wearing it, probably 9 out of 10 times you're not just ripping off this top lift here, you're actually ripping off the entire heel base at that point. So hopefully none of you end up in that situation, because that's a pretty rough fall and trip there. So definitely don't want to have an issue with that. Now yeah, there's not much more to talk about. I guess the heels, basically. Now, as far as color options go, color options, of course, as you can tell with the Dainite, we've got 3 colors here. These are ones that are available to us cobblers currently. That's the brown, black, and the red color. There is also a blue color made by Dainite, but it is not available to the general public. The only company that is allowed to get them is Allen Edmonds. That's it. No one else. Not Alden, not Edward Green, no one else. And the reason why only Allen Edmonds is allowed to is because I talked to the company that manufactures the Dainites, and they said that Allen Edmonds actually owns the machine that makes those blue soles and heels. So if you're wanting the blue ones and you have anything outside of an Allen Edmonds, you're not going to be able to get that blue, unfortunately. So you're kind of out of luck when it comes to that. Now, Dainite did release a new color, of course, too. It's kind of like this, almost like an olive green, but a light olive green. I don't have it, of course. It's not available to us cobblers yet. The company actually let me know about it quite some time ago, and they said that they're working on another color as well that will be available too. So keep your eye out for that one. I know Allen Edmonds already has a few models of shoes and boots that they have that sole on in that particular color. So if you're a fan of Allen Edmonds, or if you're near a store, just if you really want to check it out, just go inside, check it out. It's not a bad looking color. I mean, I'd definitely much rather one of these 3 colors personally, or the blue if I had access to it. But hey, that's it's not a bad color, definitely on certain types of boots and shoes that may have a really light finish to it, or if you just want it to be unique looking too. With the Vibram sole, however, from Eaton, I gotta cheat a little bit. I gotta grab my catalog here. I know they've been releasing more and more colors, and probably for some of you that may see it by then, they've got a couple here, and I don't have all of them in stock, of course. I've got the black, of course. Sorry for the reflection there. There's the Krugo. Well, it's basically like a taupe gray almost, and then there is Norma, which is more like a purple color. Now on their website it also shows a brown being available too, and again, with a lot of our finders and suppliers, it's kind of hard to get all the colors through them too. Like, none of my local suppliers have this one. I have 2 local suppliers here in Denver, and one of them doesn't even carry the Vibram Sole Factor line completely, so they don't even have this sole at all. But hey, we're trying to get a couple extra ones in. I wish I could have shown you in person on that, but those are colors that are not very popular or very common, at least with that Norma and the Keurig, I can't pronounce it, the taupish color one as well. They're just not going to be very common colors, and there's a good chance that in some cases, if you're watching this video down the road, there's a good chance that they may have discontinued it. I know Vibram has discontinued a few types of soles, and they weren't even around for a full year yet, and they just got rid of it. I got lucky by grabbing the last pair of this one white sole for this gentleman that he really needed it for his shoes, and I was like, oh, I got lucky there. Got the very last pair, and luckily it was the size that we needed. But anyways, like I was saying, with also the midsoles are added a lot of times. They have a few different colors. Currently we have in stock brown, black, and kind of like a beige color, as well as leather ones too. There are a few other colors out there as well. I'm trying to find some decent ones too, to see if I can maybe get some odd colors for anyone that may be interested, but of course I got to try to keep the traditional colors in stock. So with the midsoles, you could also get creative. I mean, if you have a sole that had originally a leather sole with a brown edge on it and you want to go with the Dainite sole, you can go beige midsole or leather midsole with a red like that there. So you can just end up getting creative sometimes. Now again, with a lot of the dress shoes, they usually don't have the midsole added on there. It's mostly on the boot models that they add it to. So you know, you're not always going to see the midsole on it, just because certain designs of shoes should have a little more flexibility than a boot would. Now as far as what types of boots and shoes these will fit, they do tend to fit a wide variety of mainly men's dress shoes and boots that are dress boots, of course, not Western boots. So you're kind of limited if you're somebody who likes Western boots, if you've got women's shoes as well. These don't tend to really fit women's shoes very well, because you're going to have these pegs sticking out of the side. I mean, this one that we're going to be working on came from the factory like that. You can see right here that they stitched over the peg, which is not really bad necessarily. Aesthetically, it's not pleasing, you know, for some of us cobblers and some enthusiasts as well of footwear. It's just not pleasing, but it's aesthetically, it's well, durability wise, it has no effect on it. But when you get too small of a shoe, and let me grab this again, and one of these pegs is sticking out too much, I mean, it ends up getting sanded out partially on, like, say, a woman's shoe. In that case, that is still not going to be damaging to it in any kind of way as far as durability, but aesthetically you're going to start noticing it from the side view as well. You're going to see that there's something off about it. It's just not pleasing whatsoever. And the same rules apply with Western boots too. If you have a pointed toe, it's just not going to fit it very well. If you have a square toe, like this pair that we're working on right now, if you got a square toe one like that, anyways, if you've got a Western boot like that, it should fit certain ones with a square toe box like these ones here that we're working on, and you know, it'll fit somewhat. All of the boots, of course, it's not going to fit, but again, you know, for Western boots there are other options available too. Definitely some of them that won't accommodate dress shoes as easily either, but you know, that's the basics and everything of Dainite soles and heels, as well as the Vibram Eton sole and heel. Hopefully that answered a few questions for you. Kind of, again, very similar design patterns and everything, similar thicknesses as well, but polar opposites. It just depends on which direction you want to go. Do you want to go more durable and heavier traction for more of like an outdoorsy type of wear, like if you're walking in the street a lot, or even if you take them out going hiking? I've actually had a few guys that wear their Allen Edmonds or Aldens or Thursday boots out and they go hiking in them or fishing, so it's kind of interesting. Or do you want something that's more general for city type purposes, where the roads tend to be a little bit more clean, the sidewalks, everything's a little more cleaned up, and then you just, when you run inside, walk on tile or hardwood floor, this will grip a lot better in those kinds of conditions with wet floors, or even if you're in a kitchen too. Now this one, of course, it's not exactly rated for non-slip, but it's definitely going to grip a lot better. When it comes to non-slip soles, I just want to give you kind of a disclaimer. In general, companies actually, to have a particular sole to be considered non-slip or slip resistant, they actually have to go through a approval process where there's a lot of testing by a third-party company. I can't remember the company's or organization's name exactly, but they have to go through extensive testing and everything to officially make it a slip resistant or non-slip sole. So just because it doesn't say it doesn't mean it's not a non-slip or a slip resistant sole. But same thing also, if it says it on there, that officially means that it has been tested, it's been proven and everything. Now what I'm saying here, that this one's going to grip better than the Dainite sole in those kind of scenarios, does not mean that it's rated for a non-slip sole, but from our experience, what we've seen as cobblers and everyone else who wears them, this one just definitely seems to be a little bit more of a grippier, tackier rubber. So that's kind of a disclaimer. I would say it's not rated for it. It hasn't been tested by the third-party system. That's just from our personal experience and what we have seen between these two. But if you have any other questions or comments, please feel free to ask. Leave them down below. Stop by if you're local. If you're not local, you could always go to our website, cobblersplus.com. All of our contact information is on there. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. Now, these are just the two most popular current soles out there with that particular tread pattern. There are quite a few. There's a few that we're trying to get in as well, that we're working with the companies on trying to figure out a system for us cobblers to get access to their soles. So, these are just, this video here particularly is just for the Dainite sole and the Vibram Dainite. Also, it does have a few other models too that are not available for us currently in North America. Maybe someday, but those ones are even harder to fit actually on certain shoes. So this one's just more generally accessible and will fit a wider variety of types of footwear out there. And Vibram, of course, just about everybody knows Vibram in general. They're all across the board: dress shoes, hiking shoes and boots, Western wear, work wear. They're all over. They have, very good experience with all sorts of categories. So two of the most popular, well-known companies in the world. Definitely a huge one. Oh, and one last thing, as far as where these are made, of course, Dainite is from Britain. It's British made, of course, and this particular Vibram is coming out of Italy. So that's definitely nice, not a Chinese made one. I'm almost on the verge of saying no more made in China of anything. I'm that close to wanting to say that. Nothing made in China, even soles, pretty soon. But that's just my ranting and raving. Don't judge me on it. All right, thank you for joining us today on our Soul Talk Sunday. I hope you enjoyed everything. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video as well. If you have any friends, share this video with that may be questioning which sole option they want to go with. We've got our previous video with the JR leather as well. That may be an option too for anybody that wants to have a variety of different soles. Sorry, got a message. If you want a different variety of soles, that you can go with one that will be your kind of everyday wear for when you're going in the city for work and everything. One that's going to be for those heavier muck days. Your dressier shoe that has that leather sole on it from JR Leather, that will be a little more elegant, but of course it's not going to grip as well as either one of these, but still looks very nice and dressy in certain occasions. So definitely check out that other video too. I'll leave a link down in the description and probably post it on at the end of this video as well. So if you have any questions about that as well, more than happy to answer it. And don't forget to also hit that notification bell icon for when we have our next video out. Next week's video, we'll be talking about a different sole. So join us again on our Soul Talk Sunday next Sunday, and we'll see you later.